That's Spurlock, the poster boy, and we're going into Amazing Spider-Man #1 blank sketch variant of Marvel's Blood Hunt series. And I don't know how many times I've drawn Spider-Man. It's probably like my sixth or seventh time. But yeah, I've drawn him since high school at this point. I think the first time I've drawn him was for like I think it was like for a postage stamp assignment. I was basically copying one of my covers at the time. At that time, I was like watching or reading Ultimate Spider-Man. It's a series I pretty much uh, um, grew up reading. It was new, like it was the new comic book universe, and um, for a new reader, I mean, I've been reading comics since I was like a child, so, but like, it was something new that was just for me. It felt like I'm just gonna dig into the drawing here. Hopefully, people chime in. My dog Axel in the background. If you can't hear him, gave him a chew stick, and I was hoping it would keep him busy. His teeth have been getting a little shoddy lately. Ooh. It's been hard to get all these covers to mesh well together. If I sound kind of out of it, I had work today. My full time job been kind of slacking on filling orders, so it's so the boss pretty much called us in to play catch up. So just like full day of work. Oh, thanks. Narrate. Yeah, if you want to see the full one, that's what I got so far. I'm kind of working on the corners here. Feel like it makes the whole thing less imposing. And just working, just using a Prismacolor pencil. Do I want to shout out? Shout out to. I'm not used to the whole live stream thing. I guess like shout out to narrator. Is that how I'm supposed to do it? It's like narrator. Do I know you in real life? If I do, I'll shout you out, man. Do we play Magic? I was playing Commander. It's my normal format. But yeah, Ultimate Spider-Man was one of the first comic series I started collecting. I collected it up until uh, Miles Morales entered. Oh, okay. Thanks. Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd love the support. I'm pretty much poster boy everywhere else, especially on Instagram. This is usually the point where people offer their services to promote me on their channels and pages. Take them up on that. Yeah, Ultimate Spider-Man, great series. I mean, it's a lot of issues, something like 200 issues. And I've collected them all. I still got them all. I even got the first appearance of Miles Morales. the good one, the one where it doesn't show his face. Oh, thanks, narrator. Yeah, these comic blank variants, I have a whole box full of them, and I'll probably. I mean, when this Saturday night drawing session thing becomes a regular thing, I'll definitely work through all of them, and of course I'll post them all on my Instagram. You can follow that on my YouTube channel, where I have all my links posted. Thanks, Hugtree. Hopefully nobody was waiting for me to start this thing. I was had it set for 9 p.m. and also I posted the time a little bit late on my Instagram. But yeah, it looks like we got some people coming out tonight. I was working on a Dracula blank cover last week and nobody tuned in for that. But we got it done. We got it like mostly done in all these dark colors. Thanks, narrator. Sup, Sarah, the cool girl. Is that a what kind of avatar is that I see? Is that original art? Hey, artsy girl. I sibbed. What is sibbing? Did I say something? This is the Peter Parker. Hugtree asked what Spider-Man this is. This is the Peter Parker Spider-Man, not the movie one, but um, kind of like the original Marvel 616. I know I've been out of like Marvel universes for a while, but this is the OG Spider-Man because I think in the this Blood Hunt series, it's doing like the mainstream Marvel timeline, which is I don't know somewhere between like I think it's just the comic book universe. I don't think they really um, engage with the Marvel universe that like the cinematic universe. And I'm doing kind of the boring parts of this one right now, just because like so I can like talk and do this. I mean, so far uh, all these Blood Hunt covers have all been read, and they've all got like the main character covered with hands, like sort of vampire hands. And if you check on my Instagram, I posted all those stuff. This is part 7, and I got this one and 2 more parts to go. Artsy girl, I do like Gwen Stacy. Who doesn't like Gwen Stacy? I remember when Gwen Stacy was introduced in the Ultimate Spider-Man universe, and that was kind of a big deal. I mean, she was like kind of like this goth sort of punk rocker girl, and that's maybe like the second depiction of Gwen Stacy ever at the time. And before we got like this sort of revamped Spider Gwen sort of character, and ever since then we've spawned like so many other versions or variations of Gwen Stacy, and I've been digging it so far. It's I think people are like so bored of Mary Jane, um, and Mary Jane's kind of like she comes with her own issues, but everybody's got issues. She's had like an abusive father, and she's been in the mainstream Marvel universe. She's a bit of a smoker too. So it's she's got a lot of like human traits, and but you also wonder like, well, what is about Mary Jane that attracts Peter other than like, okay, Mary Jane's a hot redhead, but like I don't know, Gwen's a little more plucky, I would say. Like Mary Jane seems to her role in the whole comic book universe seems to be I sit at home, worry about Peter Parker walking through that door, and that's real, that's human, but at the same time, uh, not that interesting. I mean, but Mary Jane's had some big moments too. I mean, at some point she had spider powers or superhuman powers. and at times she could defend herself too. But they also like gave her, I think in the original Spider-Man universe, they gave her like um, yeah, like a modeling career. And I just picked up a whole story arc in uh, like a bunch of dollar bins. It was like, but it was like apparently she got involved with like a love cult or something. In the middle of like her amidst her modeling career, and and I haven't read that yet, but it looked pretty spicy. But to answer your question, yes, I do like Gwen Stacy. There was I watched I keep saying watching. I read the Spider-Man life story comic. I got it in the trades, but it's basically like an alternate universe or alternate timeline where it's like, what if the life of Spider-Man aged with the decades, like in real time? Because in comics, time goes on in the real world, months, years, while, when a comic's being released monthly, not a whole lot of time passes because it's telling one single part of a story every month. So it doesn't, characters, stories, the world doesn't age like we do in the human world. So if you were starting like with Spider-Man, Spider-Man was a teenager in the 60s. So if he aged like with time, like with like Vietnam, the world and everything like that, and the Avengers as well, things like Tony Stark, um, it just depicts like, okay, what would that look like? Would he, join up? Would he join the war and like fight against the Vietnamese or something like that? He says no, but like Flash Thompson does, all because he's like, well, that's what Spider-Man would do. And it's like, ooh. And then like part of that story is like Captain America goes rogue just because he thinks like war is wrong and becomes a protester. So it's pretty funny. But to round back to the subject of Gwen Stacy, um, so if you're familiar with Spider-Man, you like got the whole clone saga, right? And that was just like a weird long story about like, well, how many copies of Spider-Man are there? Is this Peter Parker the real Peter Parker? And that's how we got great characters like Ben Riley. And um, so in the life story, the guy, the Jackal, who made all these Peter Parker clones, was in love with Gwen Stacy and cloned her. And how that played out in the life story arc was like he cloned her and replaced her and kept the real Gwen hostage while Peter and Gwen were dating in college. And then Axel, sorry, my husky is chewing on something he shouldn't be. What did you get? Ugh. Sorry about that. We're back to drawing. My husky is no longer crazy. Um, So yeah, Professor Warren, the Jackal, cloned Gwen Stacy and kept the real Gwen like in a vat or something, just like tied up, while the clone Gwen, who thought was real, was dating Peter for like something like 6 months. And so revealed like, oh, my Gwen was like in a vat and um, you know, just captive this whole time. And that the real Gwen wound up dying, and all was left was like the fake Gwen. It's like, what do you do at that point? It's like you're not the person I've known all this time. You're not the person that I love. It's just you're just a copy of her. It's like, and the person I love, the one I knew, just died and just died in a tank. It's like, damn, that is like so, yeah. They need to get back to that like sort of stuff in mainstream. Like, I guess the movies, Aunt May, they killed Aunt May, and that that's always a given. That's always a guarantee. And Peter Parker has a tragic life. He has a hard life as Spider-Man, but um, man, like people he loves dies. But I guess they're doing it okay at it. I just felt like the whole multiverse thing is it's getting a little tiresome. I think we're over it. I think we're all getting over multiverse. I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine was awesome. I loved watching that. Blade, like I could not stay silent when Blade came out. I Blade was my guy growing up. I loved every Blade movie. I don't care what you say about Trinity. Trinity was awesome. As long as I get more Blade. I don't care about. I'll go on the record saying like I don't really care about what Marvel has in store for like a new Blade. Bring back Wesley Snipes. He could do it. He can have all the cast members call him Blade as much as he wants. Be method. I don't care. Who would Blade like? What could they do with Blade? They could do so many things, but like, he could still have his own universe. You don't need to have him interact with the MCU. Could do a Blood Hunt series. Is it Halloween? Anybody getting the spooky season vibes? Doing these covers definitely puts me in the mood. I've been wanting to watch things like Sleepy Hollow, that Johnny '90s Johnny Depp, Christina Ricci movie, directed by Tim Burton. The bloodiest Tim Burton movie you will ever watch. Literally, like there's a tree made of blood. I was explaining it to a coworker today who has never seen it. But yeah, if you want to see the most horror, yeah, it's probably the most horrifying like you'll ever watch. Like he does like tame horror. I would say like he's definitely got like a style for the macabre, um, but it's more family friendly. I would say. Anybody see Beetlejuice? Beetlejuice. I caught that last weekend. I felt like it was okay. It just wasn't great. It does. I don't know. I felt like a lot of it was studio notes. A lot of studio, like just studio interference. Oh, thanks. Oh, thanks, Sydney. Thanks, man. But yeah, you'll see. It's so weird. Like after something like 30 years, say Vulgirl. I just said Vulgirl. What's the avatar you got there, cool girl? Is that something you made, or is that something? Is that like a character from something else? I was watching another YouTuber do a video. Um, YouTube artist about to have like a gallery showing, and they're going on about doing this really big piece, really big canvas, very expensive to produce, all that, and he's explaining his process, and I'm probably when I finish watching it, I'll probably comment on it. But like he, okay, so here's what happened. He he's producing a painting, right? And it's like very Greek. It's a depiction of Medusa from Greek mythology, and So what he and so that's all he wants to do is do a painting about Medusa. So what he did was um, hire a photographer to do like the photo shoot for him of Medusa, and hired a model, did a set, lighting, all that stuff. And he told the photographer what he wanted. It's like, yeah, then the concept, idea, everything behind it. And there's definitely like an illustrative quality to it, especially since it's like fantasy themed. So and yet it's supposed to be like fine artsy. It's like an oil painting. And so what he did was hire this photographer and told her to just like do everything, do all the lighting, do the set design, everything. And he's just gonna like and do all the Photoshop, all the retouching. And so basically, she does all the hard work for his painting, and then she's just gonna hand him the final outcome of that. I haven't seen that far yet, but when I finish watching it, I'm sure that's where it's gonna head. She's gonna hand it off to him, and he's just gonna paint it like perfectly photographic, huge oil painting, and all. Basically, he paid someone to do like all of the decision making for him. And to me, that just rubs me the wrong way. I just, it's like professionals, I mean, artists just in general, they tend to do their own photo shoots, even if they're using models, and they set up their own lighting, they do their own, like, when you shoot your own reference, you're making all those choices, you're making all those artistic decisions. Like you're doing all your hard work, you're earning your chops there. And it's like, I don't know, no self-respecting artist would just, it just rubs me. It's like, I can't tell you, of course, like anytime I feel like I would say like, yeah, I wish someone else could just make up something for me. God, now we're talking like AI territory here. Just like, do all the hard work for me. Just go create the lighting, do all the, and just create my character for me and do all that. And I'll just copy it basically. I'll transfer it onto whatever material I'm working on. Looking, not looking good. Overall, when I put all these together, it's gonna like be this sort of bloody, sort of ink sort of thing. And that's the thing that weaves all the comic books together. But yeah, that really sort of bothered me. So I don't know. I usually when I watch artist videos, I'll like leave comments and be like, "Oh, that was nice. I like that." I don't say anything too negative just because I don't know. Negativity sucks, but something about I might have to actually like break my silence on this one and just be like, "Yo, that's not cool." I mean, it's not like he did anything ethically bad, but but the way it looks, it appears, it's like it's more of a collaboration at that point. Like I could not take 100% credit if I had people basically designing my art for me. You know what I mean? It's like all I did was just copy it. If you have a photographer make all those choices, the layout, composition, lighting, all that stuff. Like you're not the artist. You're just not. Like an artist oversees everything. It's like granted, and I was having this conversation with someone else today. It's like historically and even today, like professional artists, they'll use apprentices to create some art. Um, Kehinde Wiley, he does like lot of huge like portraits the size of like full on gallery walls, but he'll have apprentices come in and paint, like do all the grunt work, like paint all like the backgrounds for him. and that's basically just paint by numbers. It's like because all of his backgrounds are like all textile sort of flourishes, and like yeah, that's like boring, tedious work like that. Doesn't really take. Tell, you could tell, there's not a whole lot of decision making there. You could just be like, hey, paint this. If I was like, it's like me if I was handing you a coloring book and say like, um, draw all this red, then draw just these ones blue. So, and yeah, that's okay. That's acceptable. And people have apprentices all the time. If I had an apprentice right now drawing this for me, I'd be like, hey, um, don't touch this. This is mine. Sydney, what else do I draw? It's been superheroes mostly because I've been committed to this Blood Hunt series, but I draw everything. At work, I draw concept art for a lot of the monsters that we make. It gives you some clue in what I do full time. Not often, but yeah, we conceptualize a lot of new stuff. And I draw in my sketchbook when I'm kind of between projects like this. If you check my live stream a few weeks back, I think it was the second live stream I ever did. It was I was drawing like this space space lady. It's very sci-fi, and that was a new sketchbook for me. I started a new one, but I just draw everything. I'm not committed to just one genre. I like doing everything. Nothing's really off limits to me. Eventually, when I get these paint markers that my girlfriend got me for our anniversary, I'm gonna do these X-Men comics. They're not quite blanks, but they have like they're just one color, and they have different interesting color schemes. I'll pull them out if anyone's interested in seeing them, but I want to do some like sort of sexy super superhero covers. Ones I have to like put post-its over, kind of, because that's something I've always wanted to do. I've never broke into the explicit content kind of stuff, and I'm curious how that would sell. But I draw a lot of movie characters, stuff I watch, stuff I appreciate. And other than comic book characters like you see here, like I started off saying, this is probably like the sixth or seventh time I've drawn Spider-Man ever. And it's unfortunate to see the beginning of this, but the beginning gets to be pretty tedious. Glad I didn't have to do that on live stream because figure um, is pretty nerve-wracking. And you can't really erase colored pencils. You just can't. I would have to like dip back into the paint markers in order to like paint over it or something. Mouth is getting a little dry. So this is looking more complete. Yeah, doing that corner really helped bring this together. All right, I'm gonna work on this other corner. It's not gonna be as interesting, but actually, we can do it. Fill in a lot of it here. Let's see here. Yeah, a lot of this pattern that I've got in the background may not make much sense looking at it now, but when it's complete, again, you can look at my Instagram and see the other previous covers I've done so far. And if you scroll, like those are multiple images, and if you scroll all the way to the end, it'll show the overall piece, which is what they all look like when they're put together. and it looks pretty epic. It's kind of like a Sistine Chapel sort of layout, which is something I've always wanted to do. I could do it with like superheroes or something, but that would take a lot of time. And you could probably imagine how much time it's taking just doing these, but doing something like a Sistine Chapel paint, could you imagine just the superheroes? No, I do have. They're making blanks of the Crisis on Infinite Earths storyline, and that's 12 parts. Now, I don't know if I would do something like this for that. I probably just do each issue individually because each blank of that comes in like a different color, like purple, black, blue, white, and overall that might look a little scattered. So I think I'm gonna take each issue as I go, just like one at a time, but like kind of just do different things for it. I haven't thought a whole lot about it. I have thought about my next comic I want to do after I get done with all these Blood Hunt comics. I really want to do this blank I have of Predator versus Black Panther. They did a storyline of like Predator versus like all these Marvel characters like Wolverine, and from what I could tell, like those are really good stories. I mean, I love Predator. Just apply him. You could literally apply that character to almost anything, and I would watch it because I mean, you can't get more like you don't need motivation with the predator. The predator is just a predator, just predator, man. He just hunts things. So you just put him against any character, and it just works. It just clicks. Your mind fills in the blanks with it. So I have this blank of Black Panther versus Predator, and the story of that is just like it's funny. Like it's kind of crazy. The Predator has a backstory. Like back on their home planet, there's like two brothers, and they get into this brothers' war. Um, and the father gives the favorite brother a spear made of what? Vibranium. And so the weaker brother got defeated by vibranium wielding brother, and so he's like banished from the home world, and so the younger brother Predator has to go find vibranium to challenge the older brother. So where does he go? Wakanda, and that's where the story like that's where issue 2 happens. So, but I'm just very excited because what I want to do for that, the comic, the character, the idea I have for it, I want to do. And some artists have already done it, but I think I have something more artsy in mind. I'm gonna do Black Panther versus Predator in Predator Vision. You know, like the heat signature, like how the Predator sees. That would be cool. And that would be challenging for me because I know it's not. Once even if you got a sketch down of what that would look like, you still got to figure out how the Predator Vision would see all that. And it's not exactly a filter you could just apply something to. So I will have my work cut out for me on that one. I was listening to a podcast about the original Predator. I'm all the way over here. Um, the film, and they went through so many methods as far as how to do the Predator Vision. It's like how does it see? Like, and they had like thermal cameras. They just show the thermal the video camera through, and that didn't quite work. So I think what it came down to was like they just had to hand animate it or something. Like nowadays, you could probably uh, do a program or but back then for the 80s, that's pretty damn impressive, and they had like so many shots. predator vision in that. So it proves to you that it can be done. But that's also an effect, like, our technology is like so advanced nowadays. That's something we definitely couldn't recreate if we were trying to recreate it just like that. Like, we'd have to go back to old methods. And I think that's something that modern filmmaking, when they go back and redo a series, you're just like, well, that movie didn't feel like the original that I grew up watching. And I feel like that has a lot to do with like modern filmmaking techniques. Like, we've grown so much along the way. I'm like, well, if I were making a film, I'd dig out, if it were me, like, if I was going to make like a new Ghostbusters movie, I would, and just to make it like canon, make it feel like the same, it was taking place in the same storyline, universe, everything. Aside from like making the story comprehending or just, understandable and cohesive to the original. Other than that, I would dig out like a lot of the old camera stuff that they would use and just, just try to shoot it on the film, use all the stuff they would do. That way, it just feel like a sequel. Because you could definitely tell the difference between like film and digital and all that stuff. It's like new movies just look too new. And the only way to make it look old is like just run through filters or change the noise of it or something. It's still not the same. It's still not shot the same. It's like you could tell a difference from like a drone shot and a helicopter shot. It's like, okay, they definitely didn't have drones in the '80s, so it all feels. And even if you know nothing about film, I think something in your brain tells you something's off. And I don't know. I'm probably the only one who cares about stuff like that. But yeah, just doing this corner here. Zoom out a little bit if we can. Nope, that's as far as we get. Ooh, Spidey being attacked by vampires. I'm just doing some blood spatter here so I'll do this in my Prismacolors, the Prismacolor brown pencil. I think I wiped away, I think all my sweat and everything just wiped away all the letters and numbers. Plus I'm almost down to the stub on this one. I have to get a new pencil soon. But no, I'll do all my darks with this pencil, just one pencil. This is just one color. And then I'll take my white pencil and go in and add the highlights. But and then the last step, I'll go in with a red paintbrush and I'll paint in some red strokes, just like to bring out more of the red reds. And you can see examples of that on my Instagram. I don't know how many times I've mentioned my Instagram page. I follow a link on my channel here. But if you go there, you see like all the different parts. This is part 7. And all the other parts. Like, I've done Dracula, Wolverine, Jubilee, Dracula, the Blood Hunters, which is is a team composed of Dagger, Werewolf by Night, and Hawkeye. At least in the first issue, they've acquired some team members as the story progressed, I think. And I have not read the entire Blood Hunt series. Good God, that was like they keep a checklist at the end of every issue, and in the back of this one, it said it's like 60 comics. I mean, comics are not cheap nowadays. I became like a regular collector when I was in college, or rather before I started college, and even then, comic books were starting to become like $5 a piece. And doing that month after month, you're spending almost like $50 a month on comic books. And as a person in college, I'm like, I can't afford a hobby that costs like $50 a month. Like, and that did make me wonder, like, why comic books are so expensive because they really weren't back in the day. Even back in olden times when the comics were like 10 cents a piece, that was still dirt cheap. That was like so cheap, and kids bought so many of them, and so much so like that they traded them. Like they didn't bother buying like all the comics. They're just like, oh, I got this one. You buy that one? Okay, we'll just trade them so we can read them. Nobody was thinking about collecting or anything like that. And comic book was just reading material. And so, but comic book companies did really well selling that cheap. Like it's like why not read buy everything? Why not read everything? Plus, they're entertaining as hell. I mean, they're graphic. You see dead bodies. You see like all kinds of stuff. I mean, you get the superheroes too, but they're mostly just entertainment stuff that you can't get on radio or TV back in the day. But it's like so. I did wonder. I did some research just like on my own. It wasn't for like a school project or anything, but it did have me curious. Like why were comics cheap then and not now? Yeah, I know inflation's a thing, but they're still comic books. I mean, printing is cheap as hell, especially if you do it like on a larger scale. And sure, you have to pay your artist, but you're paying them something like I don't know, it varies on the artist, but okay, say it takes like $1,000 to make a comic book. Okay, you pay maybe not even not that. Probably a couple, something like 5 grand, I would imagine. That's what Marvel spends to do a complete comic book. The cover, the pages, everything, whatever. Okay, so you got your comic book, and all you gotta do is print it. You get your ad space. You make money from the advertisers. Great. And then so I think I reached out to somebody who wrote an article, and they basically responded to me like, "Well, the price that they're putting out, the $5 price, it pays for their gas, their expenses, the truck drivers, getting it printed, all that stuff." But I'm also like, okay, what's paying for that? Why am I making up their margins on the truck driver? You know what I'm saying? It's like, shouldn't they focus on producing a good comic and kind of just take the risk as far as putting out a good product that everybody will want to buy? Why is the price being accounted for like all their expenses? Just doesn't make sense. But I think the main reason, what their argument nowadays would just be inflation. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like comics would still do really well if they were cheaper. People would just buy more of them because they could afford more. Because I swear I don't buy any comics new. Like even if like there are a lot of interesting independent books that I would love to read, and I'll take a chance on. I mean, so not worth it. So I'll wait a while. Like I'll keep an eye out whenever I go to a convention or a show, and I'll just look in the dollar bins. I mean, that's literally all I do. I won't look in the $2. I might look in the $2 bins, but the dollar bins is where I'm at. I'll keep a list on my phone. And if I see something that like catches my fancy, sometimes I'll find entire series in the dollar bin, like series I haven't even heard of, but I'll pick it up because like their artwork's cool. Even like old series like from the '90s. I picked up one. I think beginning of this year or last year. It was called Mystic. It's by like a comic book company that hasn't. Um, oh, I think it was like CrossGen. I think that was the comic book company. But the artwork was good. Hopefully my AirPods are still in. Cool. I haven't been hearing myself. I've been usually oh cool. I keep the volume down. Nice. I just hope they're working. The first few times I did a live stream, the audio wasn't so great. But yeah, no, yeah, the dollar bins is where it's at for me. Of course, I look at things like key issues. I mean, I don't know, calling them key issues, like that's something collectors talk about. Actually, change the subject real quick. I I follow somebody on Instagram that they're into cars, like custom cars and hot rods, that sort of thing. I noticed they posted an artist who does like uh, car drawings, like out of like alcohol markers. And I thought that was kind of neat. I should try doing one of those and posting it, see if I can work that way. Because it doesn't look hard. I should actually, I should do. I should take a picture of my car because I drive a Dodge Charger, and that's a little bit of a sports car. So I should like take a few snaps of that and make a one of those fancy like custom car drawings out of it. That's got me inspired. Oh, can't make this too dark. Yeah, this is the bottom left corner of the entire comic book layout. You're probably thinking, why would Spidey be in the bottom left? Well, when I was originally laying out all these covers, I didn't know how exactly they would look, but I knew a great way to start would be laying them out first, just by titles. And so I was just considering them as just as their titles, what they currently have on them. And so Spider-Man's got like, this like sort of tilted uh, perspective here, and that looked best in the bottom left corner. And that's where he stayed. Um, and I'm not disappointed because I got him sort of coordinated, like pushing up towards the center, as well as like all these sort of different blood strokes. So it should all work well as a composition. Again, when I get done with this, I'll put it in my Instagram page and post it. Let's see here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go land some darks here. See it there. Might be time to sharpen my pencil. It's starting to get a little stumpy. But I usually sharpen it when I get in some really good detail. I like it while it's stumpy. I try to lay in a lot of like value just in there, just like in places like the background while it's stumpy because I try to conserve a lot of pencil. There's an artist, he used to do a lot of movie posters, and he would, like, I don't know, you see most artists and they'll just throw paint around like it's nothing, especially oil paint. Time to sharpen. And when you realize how much paint costs, especially oil paint, and they'll like set up a palette, and most of the time they don't even use all the paint they have on that palette. It just makes me cringe sometimes, just because. Let's see. Should we come down here? Wait, I think I started this leg earlier. Let's do this other side of this leg. Yeah, we're going in. Actually, I want to do this hand first, then work on the leg. So we're going in on the hand. Look out for it. Yep, let's do it. But anyway, the movie poster artist, he he had to conserve as much paint as possible because he was a starving artist. It was either he had to make choices sometimes okay, do I eat tonight or do I buy paint? And I think that sort of desperation forces you to become a better because your livelihood depends on it. And that might seem extreme, but I feel like people need to have those extremes sometimes. It forces them to make or break. Because right now, I don't know, I look around and I see a lot of artists, I don't know, not taking their craft too seriously. And that's okay. I mean, if um, art isn't like a your livelihood or just just a hobby or something, I'm like, yeah, no pressure. Just go at your own pace. But if you're struggling and you want to be, you know, if you want to ascend above, and work on your talents above, yeah, I'm talking out of my ass here. You gotta dig deep. Like my brother, I tell this story a lot, but my brother had a high school project for his French class, and he had to. I think the assignment was to find like a French artist and redo one of like reproduce one of their like their famous works. So he did a Monet painting, and the boy has never painted like in his life, except for like just normal art classes. But like he chose Monet and did a Monet, and he shows it to me, and he says like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "Well, you got the compositions all there, but as far as the style and the colors, it's just like like you're not you're paying attention to the composition, but you're not paying attention to what it is, like the actual brush strokes, the colors. Um, just need to pay more attention." But his rebuttal to that was, "Oh well, it's still pretty good for high school, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I get, yeah, it's good for your level, but if that's all you ever want to be at as an artist, that's as good as you're ever going to get. And if you're satisfied with that," and of course, I didn't say all this. This is just my tone. So, and that's my philosophy when I'm sort of encountering other people. Is like, oh well, that's fine. That's just where I'm at. Like, well, and you might say it's like too extreme to compare yourself to other artists out there, people who are just killing it. Just being, you know, you might observe people like, oh, there's no way I can do that. I'm like, well, it's my belief that actually you can. Yes, you can. I feel like anybody can do this. You might say like, oh, I can never do this. I'm like, yeah, I mean, actually you can. I mean, I'm just doing this with a pencil right now, dude. Got 6 more minutes of this live stream. Thank you for joining me. I think this is the part where streamers and YouTubers will say, smash that, give a like. As you can tell, I'm not a regular, but I can be if get more commissions and do more videos. I did post a video. This was like months, maybe a year ago, about doing a commission piece. And I've been meaning to do more videos like that, but I don't know. It's recording the process and well, I'll tell you what it is actually. My computer, my laptop. It's 10 years old, and I need a lot of disk space in order to produce videos like that on the regular. I see when like creators and YouTubers are, they're buying like so many towers and just storing everything, all their content. It does eat a lot of memory, even just to edit. So, um, going to the next level as far as like doing a YouTube video or just doing one for each thing I do, kind of like the making of this cover, which would be cool. I'd love to do that. I would love to do, yeah, I'll probably do a video of the entire project just as a whole, just going through everything. Because I will do a poster of each piece individually. Well, each piece together as one, just to produce a poster. Because this did take almost, I don't know, probably 2 months at this point. Not this cover, but you know, 9 parts of this series. Where am I at right now? Where's this leg gonna go? Can I go here? Yeah, I'll probably go here. Yeah, do that. And then where? I think I'm gonna go down here on this one. And then, it's hard to tell because this leg goes down here. Yeah, something like that. And this comes down like this. Yeah, I should do it. Yep. But yeah, this was a good turnout. I'm glad people came out for this. Probably because this is Spider-Man and I use a lot of hashtags, but however you found it, thanks for watching. I'll be out here in a few minutes, so if anybody would like to comment or ask questions, feel free to do so. Yeah, I'll be here every Saturday at 9 p.m. Mornings are kind of iffy for me. My dog doesn't get his walk. Uh, he starts acting crazy. He's calm now because I've been like running him wild around here and been feeding him too. He's been well fed. It's hard to summon energy when you got a full stomach. Although it's probably the opposite. You would think it would be, but he's the type of dog, once you get him up in the morning, he's like, "Can you give me some coffee?" Let's see if I can wrap this up. Yeah, I'll be posting this on my Instagram. I'll show this progress on my stories, which you all got to see firsthand. And hope we could do it again. I'll have this wrapped up probably this week, this entire cover, and then I'll start on the next one next week. Next week will be Midnight Suns with looks like Ghost Rider and Blade. I'd love to have Blade on it, but Ghost Rider will probably be my choice on that one. But that would be cool. Very much look forward to that. So if you're into that, please join me next week at 5 seconds. And that's all the time we got tonight. So thank you very much for joining me. This is our Spider-Man. This is part 6, and I'll catch you next time. Good night.